And then yearly I go for a lung scan because I'm a former smoker. And they had seen a little, what do you call them, nodes. So they've been watching that. So every year I go in for that scan. So when I went in for that scan, they had said that they saw something. So I explained to them that maybe it's the remnants of my back injury. So they said, no, it's more than that. So I was like, well, what is it? So they said, well, we're going to send you in for some intensive blood work. And that's when it came back that I had multiple myeloma.
So I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 49. And I went through all the treatments and everything. And it was just being told that you have cancer is hard, and all the changes that happen. And anyways, I was with the lymphedema specialist, and she was working on my arm, and she said, have you ever heard of Livestrong? And I said, oh, like Lance Armstrong. And she's like, well, you know, it's a program through the Y, it's a group. And I said, I don't do group. And she just kind of was lovely and kept going on. And she said things that perked my ears up about getting back to the gym and all this and all the benefits of it and what the Y had to offer. And by the end of that appointment, I was in touch with Jackie, and I was signed up for Livestrong in that January. And it was great. Everyone in the group was of different ages, come from absolutely different backgrounds, people I would have run into in my life, right? And we all had this common purpose to get stronger and to get a piece of ourselves back that cancer might have not necessarily completely taken, but, you know, affected. And by the end of my 12-week program, I became a mentor, and I helped Jackie with some of her Livestrong classes. And then they asked if I wanted to be a coach, and I was like, why not? Why wouldn't I? Like, this has been a great experience. And I had such a good experience that I wanted everyone else to have that same experience. And it's just been a great journey.
And I was going for treatment, and while I was going to treatment, they had a dietitian there, and they also had a social worker. So the social worker more or less told me about the Livestrong program at the YMCA. I met Cheryl and a couple of her associates that worked with her, which was awesome, and it reacclimated me back into the gym.
Dan's been through a lot, and he shared that with our group. And his stick-to-itiveness of life and always showing up with a smile and just working at it. And he has stuck with the gym. I've seen him at yoga classes. I've seen him come out of yoga classes. And to think, like, yoga, it was kind of funny. Like, I wouldn't have thought yoga would be like the thing, but it's the thing for him, and he loves it. I don't think Dan thought that he was going to get a lot out of the program. I thought he kind of probably showed up and was like, okay, so my doctor told me that this is a good thing for me, and, you know, get me stronger, get me to work out, help with my balance. You know, I don't know that he really thought that he was going to get too much out of it. But then by the end, he wanted to, like, make sure that he had a membership with his family and his grandkids, and, you know, and I think the gym probably gives him a place to kind of work it all out and get stronger and stay focused and do yoga. Cheryl
is just one of the kindest people that, you know, I've met. And, you know, would go upstairs and she would instruct us on every machine, show us. I think the gym gives him a place to, you know, sometimes life gives us some lemons and we got to make lemonade out of it. And I think the gym gives him a place to kind of work out and kind of work through some of that, as I think a lot of workout does, right? You know, so he's not a guy that wants to have a million friends. He's just a really nice man. The Y is a very important part of my life right now. I just feel that if I stay on the medicines that I go for the immunotherapy, and you know, some of the chemo kills the muscle mass. So I mean, I'm 8 minutes down the street, and by coming to the Y, I'm staying involved. I make it a point, you know, nothing's going to get in the way of my Y time. You know, I look forward to it. I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm usually here by 5:45, no later. And it's just an amazing place to come to.
Supportive. I don't know, it's just, they're all supportive of one another. They all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different types of cancer, and they all are just, someone says something about their visit to the oncologist and they all want to know. They all want to give you support. And when you're thinking like, I'm really nervous about this visit, they're like, they remember to ask the next time. Like, I might not even remember to ask, and they'll be like, hey, how did it go? Like, they really want to know. They really want, they don't necessarily, you don't have to go into it in great detail. If you want to, you can, but they want to be there for one another.
But for the person that's first coming in, I would just say that it's an amazing program, and it'll get you acclimated back into the gym.
This program, for the last 9 years being a participant and also being a coach, it's full of laughter. It's sometimes pretty serious, and sometimes takes your breath away a little bit and leaves you a little speechless at moments. But all in all, it's been a pretty amazing journey, and it's really great to be able to help people find their self again, I guess. You know, when they tell you that you have cancer, sometimes you get an oncology surgeon, sometimes you get an oncologist, you get a radiologist, you have your primary care, and everyone tells you what's going to happen. But no one tells you mentally and physically the toll it's going to take on you. And no one has a prescription for that. And that's the piece of Livestrong. Like, when I started, it brought me back. Not that I was suicidal or anything like that, but it's pretty depressing, you know? And it brought me to a place where even if the other participants didn't have my cancer, they all got it. And then just adding that physical piece to it that gives off all those endorphins, and you're like, oh my God, I just, walked 20 minutes and I could do this, and I could, bench or push, 12 pounds on that machine, and I couldn't do that before. And just seeing them build on that and being a part of it is pretty special. And I don't know that I can really describe it and put it all into words, but it's pretty special.